The pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for attending the meeting. First item we have is public comments or questions concerning today's agenda. Seeing none, before we go any further, I just want to recognize Mr. Waldron. This is his last meeting as county commissioner, and I just want to recognize him for his dedication to the county, and we appreciate me and Ron, all the hard work he's done, and the residents of the county should also. He's been a very outstanding county commissioner, and we're going to miss him here. But as with elections occur, and this is where we are now. But I just wanted to say thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Matt.
For your service,
Appreciate
and we recognize that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate all your hard work. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Likewise. Thank you, Ron.
Okay. So the next item we have is motion to recess the commissioners' meeting to hold a retirement board meeting.
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to call the retirement board meeting to order.
Motion?
Second.
Second, any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve the December 20th, 2023 agenda.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the November 15th, 2023 minutes.
Motion?
Second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Under new business, motion to approve the refunds of contributions to employees no longer with the county, and there are 6 names listed.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the following deferred retirement, there is 1 person listed.
Motion?
Second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the following retirements, there is 1 person listed.
Motion?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the following invoices for repayment on the Corn Ferry, $5,410, Beyond Investment, $46,586.05, and Broadridge Matrix Trust, $12,471.84.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn the retirement board meeting.
Motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to reconvene the commissioners meeting.
Motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the December 20th, 2023 agenda.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the December 6th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Motion?
Second.
Second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the December 13th, 2023 conference minutes.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payment of general funds in the amount of $350,364.46.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to hire Stephanie Borges as a temporary intern in the Office of Children and Youth Services for less than 1,000 hours per year, retroactive to December 18th, 2023.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to recess the commissioners meeting to hold a salary board meeting.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to convene the salary board.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the December 6th and 13th, 2023 salary board minutes.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to set the hourly rate of Stephanie Borges at $10.35 per hour as a temporary intern in the Office of Children and Youth Services for less than 1,000 hours per year, retroactive to December 18th, 2023.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to reconvene the commissioners meeting.
Motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Under old business, motion to award the bids for fresh bread and baked goods for the period of January 1st, 2024 until December 31st, 2024 on behalf of the correctional facility to Bimbo Bakeries USA Incorporated in a total annual bid amount of $111,482.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the chairman to execute the proposal for special inspection materials testing services from Tectonic Engineering and Surveying Consultants for the Bennett Avenue Building 1 renovation project.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Under new business, motion to approve the revised 2024 holiday schedule.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the contract addendum between Service Access and Management Incorporated in Pike County on behalf of the Children and Youth Services.
Motion.
And second.
Motion and second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the chairman to execute the A and B Door Sales and Service Incorporated quote in the amount of $5,604.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Human Services payment vouchers on behalf of the Office of Human Services Emergency Rental Assistance 2.0 in the amount of $10,924.71. Human Services Development Fund in the amount of $4,480. State Food Purchase Program in the amount of $5,708.18. Fair in the amount of $138,797. And Whole Home Repair in the amount of $16,119.66.
Motion.
And second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
So because we have other things on the agenda, I'm going to ask for a motion for 5, 6, 7, and 8, which have to do with payment vouchers from the Office of Human Services for different entities.
Motion to approve those 4 items.
And second.
Okay, well, we can include number 9 on there
And
also.
9 as well.
Yep. Okay, so I have a motion.
Motion.
And second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the 2018 Community Development Block Grant Program payment voucher in the amount of $15,808.75 payable to Pro Solutions LLC on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the fiscal year 2023 fourth quarter payments from the Pike County Emergency Medical Service Grant Funds to Milford Borough in the amount of $10,000, Milford Township in the amount of $13,794.20, and Westfall Township in the amount of $106,970.70.
Motion.
And second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Under miscellaneous, as every meeting we show, we have the Penn State Extension calendar of events. The next item, this is just an announcement, and we've done this in the last number of meetings, and this has to do with the emergency service training program that is held on behalf of the EMS services in the county. Kinder Morgan, the pipeline corporation that comes to the county, has every year has donated $10,000 towards that fund. To give you an idea of what $10,000 does in that fund is, it trains 14 EMTs. And as I've explained at other meetings, this is a scholarship program that the county put together. We put some ARP money in there, and what we do is, if you are registered with a local ambulance service in Pike County, there is a full scholarship to pay for your training as an EMT in the county, held in Blooming Grove. So this money, this $10,000, goes into that fund, and as I said, this $10,000 trains 14 EMTs. The program has been extremely successful. I believe that we've done 70 to 80 trainings on this, which has helped our EMS services. Because you saw in the last motion, number 11, that's the funding that the county is putting into EMS services in the county as a match to the municipalities so that we can have ample ambulance services, and it has proven extremely successful. So this is just another component of that, and we will continue to make sure that we're all safe in this county. And you know, it's companies like Kinder Morgan, they're here, they have a pipeline going through, but they recognize the importance of making sure that we have safe and efficient EMS services. So I just wanted to put that on the agenda. The next item we have is the Chamber of Northern Poconos Leadership Group is here, and Debbie Gillette is here with them. And Debbie, you have the floor.
Thank you. The Chamber has hosted an adult leadership training program since 2001. We are the combination of the former Pike County leadership and Wayne County leadership into now the Chamber, or the Leadership Northern Poconos. And today's session, the group is all here today. They represent 14 different businesses and organizations throughout Wayne and Pike County. They are all future leaders within our communities, but today's session is an overview of Pike County, the history of Pike County, and how local and county governments work. And one of the things our leadership groups have to do is a community project. And they all decided at their second session in October that the importance of the youth in our community is key to future development and leaders within the areas that we work in. So they have been working with Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Lackawanna County, which also covers several other counties, and they are going to be, they met with their leadership team about a month ago. And they will be developing a charter for Wayne and Pike counties that will be under the umbrella of the Lackawanna, Monroe, I believe Wyoming and Susquehanna are in that as well. But it's something the national Big Brothers and Big Sisters program is looking at. They wanted something in Wayne and Pike County, but these guys came up with the idea before the national program had a chance to implement it. So they are working, they are going to become the council and the board for Wayne and Pike counties, and they'll be looking for fundraising opportunities and children and adults to get involved. So adults become the big brother or big sister to troubled youth or underprivileged youth within the community. So something that's going to be coming, you'll be hearing a lot more in the next few months in Wayne and Pike counties about this program, and it's all stemming from our current leadership group. But we thank the commissioners for having us today, and we get a good look on how county government works here, and Commissioner Osterberg is going to join us for lunch later on and give us a good history lesson too of Pike County. But we thank you for having us today.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it very much. We appreciate what you're doing in our community also on the leadership group. So the next item we have is the Fentanyl Awareness Campaign Kickoff, which, and Tony's going to take charge of this. We have some other speakers here to talk about this. So this is a campaign that is a joint campaign between Carbon, Monroe, and Pike. We belong to the Joiner Board, and we also belong to the group that deals with our drug awareness in our county, and Carbon, Monroe, Pike is that group. What we've done is we've taken some of the funds that we were able to be awarded from the opioid lawsuits, and we need to use that in different formats to address awareness and recovery. And one of the things we're doing now is public awareness, and this is what the Fentanyl Awareness Campaign is about. All three counties between today and tomorrow will be announcing the same format. This will be a billboard advertising campaign in the schools and the community, bringing awareness to this. Carl, was that you? No. So we can be sure that people are educated in this fight. So Tony, I'll let you take it over.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, we've been discussing this with our partners, the commissioners of both Carbon and Monroe County. We've also employed an agency to help us get the word out. Certainly everybody's heard about fentanyl and the dangers of fentanyl, but the fact that it presents a lethal problem in many ways was something that we felt everybody needs to hear. I admit that I didn't even know as much about it as I do now. The fact that just a few grains, literally a few grains of sand, the equivalent of that, can kill someone, it's a serious concern. But it's particularly a concern because of the way it's being shown up in the community. It's being laced with, in recreational drugs, to the extent you want to call them recreational drugs, but everything from other opiates, but also cocaine and methamphetamine and even marijuana. And these are things that people oftentimes aren't aware that it's even going to be part of what they might be using, thinking that they know what they're doing, and the next thing you know, they can die. It's also showing up in pressed pills, and those pills are being distributed in various ways. We think of this as potentially a problem, certainly for teenagers, people in school, and people with young adults, and that's certainly part of the focus of this campaign. But it's also a problem for people who are dependent on certain kind of medications. It's expensive, maybe they aren't covered somehow, and they might be tempted to buy it on the street because they hear that, oh, this pill, which I would normally take, is okay. Well, it may or may not be okay, because oftentimes the fentanyl's been pressed into the pill as well. It's an insidious problem. We can't necessarily stop it. There are a lot of different elements to it. But what we can do, and we are going to do, is to make an awareness campaign. Some people will say, oh, that only happens in the cities or somewhere else. No, it's happening in Pike County. And Shannon will certainly talk about it. She heads up our Pike County office of the Carbon-Monroe Pike Drug and Alcohol. As our DA also be able to address it. But from the point of view of caring about people surviving, we need to get the word out. We need to get the word out to be, one, careful about what people are using. Even like I said, a prescription pill, we've heard of, for example, seniors who's like, well, I can't afford that pill, and I understand that, I can buy it from so-and-so down the street. And maybe even the person that's selling it might not be aware of the fact that it's laced with fentanyl. But that's why you really have to be very careful about if you're even dabbling in recreational drugs, but also if you're buying prescription drugs from somewhere other than a pharmacy. That's a potential concern, even the mail opportunities. So this campaign is designed to deal with that. We don't have a lot of billboards in Pike County, but the electronic billboards that we do have are going to be utilized as part of the campaign, as Matt mentioned. It's also going to be showing up on Facebook ads and other ways of implementing. It's going to be on billboards, not billboards, but electronic messaging in the schools in Delaware Valley, in Wallenpaupack, and at East Stroudsburg. And then there's going to be opportunities to just get the word out in different ways. So sadly, we are fortunate to have money to pay for this that doesn't necessarily have to cost our taxpayers, because our county was diligent enough to pursue settlement monies from the opioid crisis lawsuits that followed, primarily with the manufacturers of the opiates, which you've all heard about in the news, but there's even the distributors, the major pharmacies and all. They are being required to, well, they've agreed to pay money because they were being sued, and that money is being spread out throughout the states, throughout the United States. And Pike County was fortunate enough to get several $100,000 to utilize that money, but it's earmarked for specific purposes like this one. So that's probably enough of the introduction. The only other thing I would say is please understand how lethal this can be. I've shared with many people here that I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic with 43 years of sobriety. I'm very proud of that. But as I've said even at meetings, if I took a drink or I took a pill or whatever all those years ago, I didn't think there really was any chance that I could die. And there was, because I could have gotten behind a wheel. But nonetheless, in these situations, somebody could be at a party and be talked into trying something once, and they can die. So this is really a much more urgent crisis than even the drug problem itself. Of course, the idea that people use drugs and why that's happening and how that flows into our country is another issue. We can't deal with that. What we can do is to make people aware of fentanyl problems. And so we have a campaign. We actually are going to share some slides that are going to be part of that. Matt, I don't know if we want to have other people speak now or after the slides.
Yeah, Shannon can speak a little bit about it. And Ray can just talk a little bit, but go ahead, Shannon.
So when we're looking at the fentanyl awareness campaign, we looked at a couple of different avenues as to how to get this across in Pike County. All right, Carbon-Monroe Pike has had an outpatient here for about 4 years now, and a lot of the times we're still looked at as Catholic Social Services because they were our outpatient provider here for many, many years. So a lot of the times, you know maybe the phone number to call or you know who to reach out to. This is more to make sure that the localized community sees what it is that we're working with and what are the dangers when we're looking at fentanyl. So we did have here with the fentanyl awareness campaign of it being a huge problem the size of grains of sand. We're looking at within Carbon-Monroe and Pike that fentanyl stops here. Together we're looking to create awareness, offer education about the dangers of fentanyl poisoning, and create resources in the community that save lives. A lot of the things that we're going to be looking at are going to be reaching out through social media, being able to present really big billboards to say, hey, this is what this looks like. Do we have a flash this one? When we're looking at how do we get people to pay attention to it. All right, so we're looking at Pike County Fights Fentanyl, fentanyl poisoning stops here, and you'll see it throughout all 3 of our counties. One of the billboards that we're looking at, really of being able to look at that kind of fentanyl poisoning stops here, you'll see on our social media campaigns. The next piece, this is a lot of what you'll see in regards to the big billboards that are kind of come up. So when we're looking at compared to the size of the coin, 2 milligrams is a deadly dose of fentanyl, all right? We think it doesn't happen here, it does. All right, since 2020, according to the Overdose Free PA site, we've had 51 fatalities in Pike County. When we look at those deaths and what the composition of fentanyl has been in, it's over 92%. Okay, it's here, we know it's here. So being able to say, hey, we're aware that this is what's going on, what do we do with it? And making sure that families are aware. A lot of the times you'll see us out at local events. You'll see me handing out Narcan. We're doing the Dispose RX pieces to say, hey, you may not think that you need the Narcan. I'd rather you have it and never be in a position that you need it than be in a position where you need it and you don't have it. So this is an example of what the social medias will look like. You'll see us kind of pushing these things out. A lot of the times, if you guys are familiar with the social media, we have a lot of like Pike County pages, different things, so we'll make sure that we're sharing those across different social media pages. Again, another example of what that website's going to look like, the wefightfentanyl.org. We'll have all of the different access. You'll be able to look at the Carbon, Monroe, and Pike. The different things you'll be able to do through the websites will be obviously sharing the awareness campaigns. You'll be able to do that through your social media as well. Sign up for the newsletters will be on there. Being able to sign up to get Narcan and being able to sign up to get the Dispose RX. You can come into our office any day of the week and pick this up. Okay, it's not something that you have to wait for us to be out in the community. If you stop by, we're going to give it to you. Okay, it's nothing that you need to be concerned about that way. I'm not sure how long that is. So, but there are a couple of different media clips that you'll see.
Is just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand. 7 out of 10 counterfeit pills are laced with it. It's no wonder more than 150 people die each day from synthetic opioids like fentanyl. These are agonizing statistics, and in Carbon, Monroe, and Pike counties, fentanyl poisoning stops here.
And again, this is only one of the ways that we're trying to make sure that we're utilizing the opiate settlement funds to make sure that we're spreading awareness and making sure that people access the treatment that they may need. Right?
This is a very important program to bring this awareness. I know people hear regularly that fentanyl does kill people, but they're not aware of the ways that fentanyl can kill individuals. I know Commissioner Waldron spent a lot on basically what is maybe people seeking substances, using substances, and fentanyl being in them. But one aspect that's very important to myself with my work, especially with Dixon House, is the children that end up with issues of drugs being left around a home by caregivers. And there was just a recent compilation done by Trip Live out in Pittsburgh. They came to the conclusion over a period of years that drug deaths in children outnumbered gun violence deaths, as they call them, 2 to 1. So caregivers really need to be aware that other pills other than fentanyl can pose very serious risks to children. And while they may have a certain prescription for something, not fentanyl, usually fentanyl is a patch or it's used in an OR room or something, but they need to know that any exposure can kill a child. I think there was recently some national attention given to a daycare in the Bronx where there was some drug dealing activity going on and several children just with the touching of fentanyl. The idea when fentanyl was first devised by the pharmaceutical companies was in patch form so that it could be placed on an individual and go through the pores of their skin for long-term pain relief. So those molecules can go through individual skin and become inside the body without being orally ingested. So it really can pose very serious dangers to children. So this is a great start towards that aspect of things. On the law enforcement side of it, we have seen tests come back. If drug agents have purchased things such as cocaine or methamphetamine, that it has come back with fentanyl in it. So that poses a grave risk to somebody. They believe they're purchasing cocaine for use or methamphetamine for use, and then there's fentanyl mixed in. Not the fentanyl itself could be deadly, but even if it's not in and of itself a fatal dose, those two drugs, either cocaine or methamphetamine and fentanyl, really send your body in two complete different directions. So it can have very serious effects that way. Thank you.
Questions? Yeah, Ray, quick question for Ray. Ray, you've had several drug busts here in Pike County over the span of the last year or so. Have any of those busts included any fentanyl-related drugs, pressed pills, anything like that did have fentanyl in them?
No busts, I will say.
But okay, sidebar on that question, have you had any arrests or seized any contraband that did have fentanyl here in Pike County?
Yes, and I will say that there was at least one death attributable to pills. One of the issues we run into, though, in cases is our tri-state area. So that was a case where the pills, we believe, were purchased in another state, and then the person used them here, and then passed away from them.
Thank you.
Anyone have anything else?
Yeah, I have one question. If drugs are so dangerous, why do you sell marijuana? I don't understand. If drugs are so dangerous, you sell marijuana.
Who's selling marijuana?
It's Pike County.
Well, let us know. Who's ever selling it illegally?
Against the
Call
law.
my office,
No, in
and
the
we'll
stores,
investigate
you go to
it,
the
and we'll
store
make it
and buy
right.
it.
No, marijuana's not legal
Not
in
in
the state
Pike
of
County.
Pennsylvania.
Are you
With
talking
a
about?
medicinal card, the
Are you-
medical card, yes.
are you-
That's what
are
I'm
you-
talking about,
Well-
medical marijuana. Still drugs.
So when you're looking at medicinal marijuana, which is sold and regulated
I don't
differently,
need
or
to
are you
look at
talking
it.
about
I live
CBD?
with, I've seen everything.
Okay.
I'm 77 years old. I've already seen all that. You don't have to explain to me about drugs. But you still sell them. I don't care what you call it, medicine or what, it's still marijuana.
Well, and I think there's a huge.
I don't want to hear it, please. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good. All right.
Thank you, Shannon.
Of course.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I know we have some groups here that are out there fighting the fight when it comes to addiction and helping to make sure that we educate the public on all of this. Because, regardless of the fact fentanyl is a dangerous drug, but this overdose deaths in our county have been going on for a very long time. And we need to work together to address it however best we can. Yes, ma'am. Just state your name, please. Just
Hi.
say it for the record.
Christina, I just was gonna ask where you were located, because I might have missed where you said like people can go in and get the Narcan if you need it.
Yeah, so we're, our office in Pike County is located up on Buse Road. So we're 10
Okay,
Buse
by
Road,
six?
and we're in, yep,
Okay.
and we're in building 2 there.
Okay.
And then the other piece is, I'll make sure I leave cards with our hotline number and things like that. A lot of the times, like if there's community events, we're bringing it out. If there's people that can't get to our office, I'll come out and meet someone within the community. We do our Narcan distribution to our local firehouses, emergency services, ambulance departments. Because we're the central organization for distributing Narcan within the county, a lot of the times if it's, in the schools, things like that, we'll make sure to meet someone in the community if they can't get to us.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Anyone have anything else? Okay.
Would you say that, are you guys providing Narcan to the public?
Absolutely.
Community? Would you say that maybe providing this Narcan or getting this grant to the suppliers of such, especially to the open public, maybe in a sense almost supporting their use of drugs by providing them an easy and reachable, basically to take away the consequence that is of drug abuse. Not saying they deserve the consequences, but don't you think we would almost be encouraging them to continue their use, knowing that this Narcan is so easily accessible and provided by the state?
So there's been a lot of research in regards to the providing of Narcan and whether or not that's kind of giving way to someone who's using. The problem is that opiate use affects the brain. So we know that people aren't always thinking as that clearly as, oh, if I use, the Narcan's gonna save my life, right? That thought process isn't always what's going through their brains. A lot of the times the Narcan distribution to the public is to the family and to the loved ones of someone who's using, because obviously the person who's ingesting the opiates isn't going to yield to Narcan themselves if they overdose. It's the family members, the friends being able to then turn around and help this person. A lot of the times when we distribute Narcan within the community, I put a sticker with our hotline number on it. So that way the family members can call with that person when it happens. A lot of the times what we see in the treatment aspect is that overdose that they get saved from is that first step to saying, okay, I have a problem and I need help with this. All right, a lot of people don't wake up every day and say, hey, let's do this to the point where I can't breathe. That's not the thought process that goes through when somebody's using. It's not a, hey, this is okay. It's how do we save your life until you're ready to do this yourself. You know, we see this a lot when we were, like last year, they approved the fentanyl test strips. To say, hey, if you're going to use, let's make sure that you're doing it in the most harm reduction way that you can. We're not saying that it's okay, we want you to get help. But let's make sure that you're alive to be able to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I appreciate those services. If I may add one more question, because I do appreciate your compassion to the community and to the public. I just wonder, would it, do you feel that this mission would be less effective if you kept it towards distributing to emergency personnel and those who may be going out to those calls, rather than, again, maybe providing crutches for family members and those who are addicted to such?
Well, I mean, I don't view it as a crutch to family members. They're not making those decisions. They're not making that decision to continue to use. So when we're looking at how do we make sure everybody is safe, we've come a very long way in Pike County for emergency services to get there as quickly as possible. But there are a lot of places in our community where it's still taking 10 minutes for somebody to get there.
And the emergency responders are already equipped with it, so they can go there. But quite honestly, if there is somebody in that scenario that Shannon's explained, it might save them having to go out to that house because the person's given that opportunity. And just because somebody's a drug addict doesn't mean that they can't have a meaningful recovery. I'm an example of that, okay?
Of course.
So you have to give them that chance. Is it possible that somebody could abuse that? Possibly. But as Shannon said, people don't say, oh yeah, I'm going to overdose every time I use drugs.
Yeah, and if I can reiterate, again, I respect and I appreciate the compassion towards our community. This was solely for dialogue and for others to also know more of what you're doing and why you're doing it that way.
Well, and a lot of what we address is the stigma, because we see this so often that misconception is, well, this is just a crutch. This is how we're aiding people in their continued drug use. This is what we're doing in this community. You know, we're sitting here with our district attorney, with the commissioners, with members of our probation department to say, yes, we know that these things are happening and know it's not okay, but how do we get these people the help that they need? A lot of the work that we do with our probation department, with our district attorney, is to make sure that we're getting in touch with these people as early as we can to make sure that they get the help that they need as early in the process as they can.
Beautiful. That's correct.
Could you just tell us your name just so that she has it?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's Christina with a K, Vigo, and that's V-I-G-O. Thank you so much.
Bill?
Yes, I just have to, I'm very compelled to respond to this lady's questioning. As someone who I lost my son to fentanyl poisoning, okay? And the level of ignorance that's out there, don't take offense to this personally, but there's a level of ignorance out there that's infuriating, and I'm trying to stay calm right now, because addiction is a disease, okay? My son didn't wake up in the morning and say, hey, this is a great idea. I want to find out who's got drugs, where I'm going to get it, where am I going to get the money, and have all these obstacles in the way before he even starts his day. My son said to me, Dad, I want nothing more than to be normal and to have a normal life. I don't want to be addicted, okay? And if these people that are out there right now who are addicted or not, if they accidentally get a fentanyl overdose, to say it's not fair to have the family member save their lives. When your son is laying on that ground and dying, you will save your son. There's no one in this room that would not save their own son. And for people to say that this help shouldn't be available, that this lifesaver shouldn't be available is really ignorant to say. And you should do your research and do what my son told me to do one day when he was in Pike County Jail for possession of drugs. And when I said to him, how could you just came out of rehab, how could you go back to taking drugs today? And he said, Dad, learn about addiction. And he hung up on me. Now I could have been angry and said, oh, he's just a drug addict. But I learned about addiction. And I advise everyone in this room to learn about addiction.
You're absolutely right. Yep. And we need to remove the stigma. Make sure that everybody needs to be saved in one form or another. There's a great program. Excuse me, I see her.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Bill
Messinetti.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Ma'am, right behind you. Bill. Go ahead. Yep.
Tammy O'Brien, I wanted to know, is there any track of who you give it to the families? Is it anonymously given?
So we do go through, we have people sign off just that we reviewed the protocol, right? So on the front of the Narcan, when you open them up, there's instructions for how to administer, right? And one of the things that covers you under the Good Samaritan Act is calling 911. So that's the only thing that we don't keep track. We don't keep a list of names of who we've given them to. We do say if you use it, you need to call us to get more. That's fine. I don't have any problem with that. We don't keep track of if you've come in for 3 or 4. That's not the point of it. But we do make sure that when we are distributing it, that we're going through the steps of how to administer Narcan, that we're going through making sure you call 911, placing someone in the rescue position to make sure that by the time our first responders get there, that they're able to continue to help.
Narcan needs to be easily accessible to the public. When it first came out, the only place I believe you could get it was in drugstores. Speaking of stigma when it comes to that, which one of us wants to walk into a drugstore and ask the druggist for the Narcan so that everybody in our neighborhood can think that something's going on in our family? Now, maybe there's nothing. I had senior parents who were on these type of opioids. I was very concerned that my dad at 90 years of age would overdose on these. So it was pre-Narcan, but that's what can happen. So when you ask do we keep track of who has it, I don't think we want to keep track of who has it. If you want it, you go get it because you never know when you need it. Because again, that's removing the stigma from this. We don't want to be, people are suffering through this. As you hear Bill say, this is a calamity that's going on in our community all over the nation. And we as a community need to work together to make sure that we save those individuals so that they can end up going into recovery and they can end up having a new life out of addiction, because addiction is a disease. All of us in this room probably know someone or have been affected by this closely. And it's a horrific feeling to know that you have a loved one who passes away from addiction. When you know that if you could just figure out how to help them more, they could still be here. So when it knows who has it, I don't think we should really care who has it. Well, if you want it, come and get it.
One of the things that we do is we go out to the senior fairs. A lot of our folks that are prescribed opiates, right, that need opiates to make sure they're maintaining their lifestyle, we make sure that they're getting access to them because heaven forbid they forgot that they took their dose. It can be an accidental thing. It doesn't always have to be a purposeful, I'm trying to get high piece. And a lot of the times that's where we're doing a lot of our drug disposal. I'll bring the big Dispose RX out to our drug fairs, out to our different aging events so that people can get rid of additional medications they don't need in their home. But even when we do our trunk or treats and things like that, I say to parents, you don't know. These aren't the same drugs that were on the streets 20 and 30 years ago. You don't know what's in them. I hope you never need the Narcan, but I'd rather you have it as part of your medicine cabinet than not.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Martin Picotti. So when it comes to like shelf life or something like that, about how long could you keep something like that in your home?
So most of them are 2 years. They actually looked at extending the shelf life of Narcan to 3 years, so a lot of them you'll see now are coming out with that 3-year line on them. If you do have an old one and you're not sure, you can go online and check through the distributor as to whether or not that Narcan was one that was extended. But right on the top of them, it has the expiration date.
Okay,
So
so I'm
then-
thinking like the education on all of it is huge because what we were talking about, the daycare, a child comes in, you don't know what their home life is or what they, along the way, God forbid, or somebody has it in their purse, you don't know. And the education around how to manage that, like you said, in the rescue position and knowing all of that, I wouldn't know. I would have no idea. So just to get that education, to have that around and to know these things, I think is crucial for going forward and saving lives. You don't need the training for it, you just need to know these simple basic steps.
Absolutely, and I mean, that's why, many years ago it was the injections.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were afraid of the injection portions. These are nasal sprays. They're a 1-dose nasal spray. You don't have to worry about, if it's not an overdose, that you're gonna hurt somebody by giving them Narcan. If they're passed out for another reason and they're not responding to that pain stimuli, they're not responding, they have the flu in their lips, it could be something else, but administering the Narcan isn't gonna cause any additional damage.
One more question, and again, I completely respect everything you're doing. This is mainly for the point of dialogue, and just being a part of the community. Aside from learning and getting past the stigma and the emotional aspects now, is there a guesstimation of how much it will cost the county to keep that keep all community or keep all families stocked with that in their medicine cabinet?
So the Narcan that we distribute is actually out of state and federal funding. So it's not coming out of county funding. Right, it's through a grant through the state and federal governments to be able to make sure that we're distributing that.
Okay, great. And was there an estimation number or a grant number?
I would have to look at what the distribution is because we're the central for Monroe and for Pike, so I'd have to look at exactly how many we're distributing in Pike. I will say typically when I go out to an event, they're 12 in a case. I'm typically doing 2 to 3 cases depending on the event.
Okay, 2 or 3 cases in an event. And how much may one of those cases cost?
Like I said, I'd have to look at the exact number of what they're charging now. But like I said, I mean, we can put in that request and it's sent right to us from the state.
Okay, and I'm sure if anybody really cares about that amount, they'll come directly to you, but thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Anyone else?
I have one more. You want to pass out medicine to keep the people safe. But all you have to do is post the border. That's where all the drugs are coming from, post the border. Yeah, I know it's not.
Unfortunately, that's not.
funny.
Unfortunately, that's
We're not being funny about it, but and I'm not gonna be smart about it. We're at the wrong meeting though. There's not much I can do about that. All I can do is protect the people of Pike County. And you may have a point with that, but I'm not, you'll have to take that up with the federal legislators.
Federal's no good either.
Well, I know, but the last time I checked, we weren't able to close the borders.
I have one more question before I leave. Last question. Sure. That way we get back to your so-called meeting.
What was your name? I'm sorry. We just.
I think it's my name.
Okay.
One now. My name, I want to know why was it Pike County raised taxes 2.something%?
We raised them 2.25 mils, as we explained.
Yeah, why?
Why? Because we ran out of money. I mean, there's not.
You ran out of money.
Correct.
Well, if you ran out of money, why is the illegal immigrant getting $2,500 for food, $5,000 gift card?
But they're not getting that from Pike County.
Same thing. If they're getting from the government, then why do you tell the government to give you more money?
Well, you know.
You as people are supposed to be Americans. I don't know where your head's at. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a great day. Merry Christmas. Anyone else? Thank you all for attending. Yep. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.